So this is the long-awaited flower walkthrough. I'm really sorry about, actually I'm not sorry, I've been really busy with work, man. What am I talking about? So yeah, anyway, this is not a tutorial, it's a walkthrough. I suck at making tutorials. So what I want to do is just walk through the process of how it was made, and that's it. So you should be able to apply this principle to pretty much most things. So let's hop in and take a look around. Okay. So I don't think you guys really want to see my ugly mug, right? So I'm just going to turn it off and then we can just concentrate on Blender. All right. So this is the flower. Okay, and you can see here it's not grease pencil. It's just using the Blender curves. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload this so people can download it. Somebody suggested to me, hey Adam, you should start a Patreon and you should start a Gumroad. And I was kind of like, yeah, I guess so, but it just seems like a lot of work and I'm not sure. But anyway, so this is a flower. So basically if I just select different parts, you can see this is it. And if I go into edit mode, you can see that's all it is. It's just 3 curves, just like that. Okay, so, I mean, look at these curves. Aren't they pretty? I mean, to me, that's artwork. Like, I think that's cool. So anyway, so these are the curves that are animated for the flower. So that's the curves for the petal. Very simple and easy. The idea was to create a very soft, dulce, floaty, beautiful, airy kind of feeling and movement. That are the adjectives I gave myself. So yeah, and then they are the curves. I mean, these look insane, right? These were the curves for the flower. So you can see them there. Just a few little bumps here and there, you know, keep everything nice and moving and floaty. There you go. So, you know, like you can take out these kinks if you want, but sometimes having a few little kinks in your curves like this, they can be nice to add a little bit of an organic feel. So yeah, so that's basically the curves there. So let's take another look at the flower. Okay, so if we scrub this timeline, yeah. You can see here it opening up. There you go. You can see I've instantly gone into animation mode because I've become really quiet. And so if you just watch this guy here, you can see just starting to open up. Oops. Just go full screen on this. You can see it opening up here like this. Okay, so if we just select all of these petals and go into edit mode and we scrub, you can see all they are basically curves, and they just animated. So This is pretty much actually, this is exactly like Harmony, except without the overhead. There's only one gotcha in this, right? Which makes this kind of a little bit of a clumsy process, and so you can't have all of these in one object. You've got to separate your objects out, which makes it much easier to work with. I feel like I need to show you my face. Okay, so yeah, so if we look at this, so the gotchas are these little points just in here, and basically what those points are, I'll just turn on the screencast keys so you guys can see what I'm doing, right? So here, yeah, gotcha. Okay, so sorry guys, it's really easy for me to jump into animation headspace land and start looking at things like that. So the gotchas are this. If you have all your curves open, lock objects mode. So I can't remember what version it was, but Blender had this thing a few years ago where you're able to unlock this. So there's a particular reason why I've gone this way, and I'll explain that in another video. Well, I'll explain it now. So basically the reason why I'm not using bones is to avoid going in and out of pose mode. So what lock object does is, if you want to use bones, then feel free to use bones. There's a lot of other good things that come with using bones, like the motion path and using auto IK. That's probably kind of about it for me at least. But I just lean on my traditional animation background, and that covers me. Okay, so yeah, so unchecking this, like this is super handy. So let's just select a bunch of these. Okay, so when you have a bunch of these selected, you can see here this graph editor becomes pretty massive. So the thing I want to point out here is this tool here. So like what you have selected, it will only show what is selected. So if that's turned off, basically you just see a crap ton of points on screen, which is like no one can work this way with all of those points on the screen. And if you're the kind of person who says, I can work this way, good for you. You're like 1 out of 1,000. This is not a challenge to see if you can work this way. This is really like the reason why you want to isolate things and start paring things down on your selection is so you can keep your mind clear and focus and find your zen, man, when you're working and when you're animating. Everybody knows about flow. Everybody's heard it. So there are a couple of things here I want to show off, and that is, so if we have our flower, if we just say, I'll just unlock the stem. So if we select our stem, you can see how fat that curve is, right? And you can see that when I select that, this is everything that is selected. Okay, so if we just look at our stem, so we've got this little guy open at the moment, and maybe there's a way to do this, maybe there's not. So if anybody knows, please correct me, okay? So here we have in our viewport, and the reason why I'm focusing on this is because this is a huge issue. Like, this is a massive issue when it comes to animating. Show handles, only select the curves, right? So if I select all of these, maybe not. Oh, it's not animating, right? So that's not necessary. But if I show these curves, then it gives me those keyframes that I can look at. And that's the only way that I've worked out how to isolate that particular curve. Okay, so that seems okay, right? That seems pretty doable. I mean, you know, like we can isolate that. So let's just take a look. If I select this point, or if I select this point, you can see here it doesn't update. So ideally, like later down the line, not right now. I don't think Blender was never, in my understanding, designed to work this way and to be able to work this way. So working this way is really, you know, like I used to do judo. So like when you do competition judo, there's a theory about playing close to the edge. So when you're working with Blender this way, you're playing close to the edge of development. And if you know anything about playing close to the edge, you know that things can go wrong. Like they can work and they cannot work. And that's the exciting thing about technology and animation, is that, you know, in order for it to progress forward, in order for it to move forward, you need to play close to the edge. Because if you're not playing close to the edge, things can't get better, and they will only stay as they are. So, you know, play close to the edge. Not all the time though. So yeah, this is kind of playing close to the edge in the animation, because the feature is really undeveloped, massively undeveloped. And so like when we were selecting the curve, or, you know, selecting just this object or another object, only those attributes show up, like only these attributes would show up. Handling this much information is fine because it can be isolated very easily. But you can see here when we go into edit mode, if I select this point, like when we look at this curve editor, there's no real way of telling which vertice and which handle I'm animating and I'm pulling on and I'm focusing on. And so that makes this kind of a little bit of a clumsy process, and you kind of have to lean more on your intuitive nature of animating instead of looking at the numbers. So in that sense, and I think most modern animators work this way, they don't really look at the numbers too much. Yeah, so I think it's okay for now, but like honestly, if this is to get better, then being able to select a point and then have it show up here or have it isolated, like what this little switch does, will work. So the other reason why I bring all of that up is because I know people are going to bump into it, and whatever you do, don't go into the developers chat space and start talking to them about it, because, you know, it may seem unproductive. Heavens forbid. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's definitely it's a problem. It's usable at the moment. The other thing that I'm using to work with this is the AnimAll add-on. So if we just go to preferences, hopefully, is this still showing up? It's not showing up, so let's just open it up here. Hey. Just go preferences. Okay. I think that's going to show up. Yep, it's showing up. Okay. And then if you go into animation and AnimAll, you can see here, like you're going to be able to, use that add-on. And so basically, when you're animating these points, what you have to do is you have to select points and then insert, and you can assign that to a hotkey. So I have it assigned to Q, and for my quick favorites, and that's pretty much it. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I just want to show you this file and what it actually looks like. So this is it in its wireframe state. So you can see it's pretty big. Okay, so just some things, some other things for people to be aware of. New scene. How's everything going? Okay, yep, cool. All right. So if we were going to create a curve, we can see this is our little curve. There's a couple of there are a couple of problems with curves. For example, if we move it up here and we rotate it on the X, say RX90, and then we take a look at our tool set in here, we can see it's rotated on the 90, and say if we want to apply our rotation, did it work? For the first time ever it worked. Let's I want this to not work so I can show you, because you will bump into this. R X on the 90. X90. Okay, I told you I suck at giving tutorials. That's why this is a walkthrough. Yeah, okay, so let's say I can't remember how I was doing it, how to make this not work. Maybe I've gotten so used to making it work in my favor. I think it's actually in 3D. Yeah, it's when it's in 2D. Yeah. So I turn these guys off, right? And I set this up to some crazy number like 64. That's for rendering purposes, because when you put the texture, when you apply the texture to it, if this number is around about, say, like 12 on its like default, 12, 13, whatever, what will happen is, like, same thing that happens in Grease Pencil, you'll get this folding of the geometry. So one way to prevent that from happening with the vectors is you just crank it up to 64, or you don't even have to crank it up that much. You can crank it up to like 24, and it's like pretty good. I put this on both, and then I don't offset. I do this kind of business. Here's an interesting thing. When it offsets, it only offsets it from the, I'll show you. It only offsets it along the y-axis. So would be actually good if there was an offset on the x, the y, and the z. Yeah, because then you could animate that with a lot more control. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. Okay, the other cool thing in here is if we just deselect everything. What's my screencast keys not on? Okay, so if we scale, so Alt S, this is really super handy. But again, the other thing is you can't animate this property. Where is it? Items. Yeah, you. As far as from what I could tell, you couldn't set. You can set a keyframe on it. I don't know. Maybe that's buggy then. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Okay, you can. I'm wrong. Maybe it had to do with weight. Well, I think the other thing is you can also rotate curves on their normal rotation. So I think that was something that you couldn't animate. But anyway, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm crazy. Let's find out. Yeah, curves, 2D, offset. So actually, yeah, there are a few limitations. The other thing that this won't do is you can't like have a new frame. So you can't have curve to frame to frame to frame. So the reason why this workflow kind of works really well, like motion graphics wise, is you can have that whole procedural system working and like on top of it. So yeah, so that works really, really well. Just trying to think if there's something else. We just go open up that flower. Oh yeah, so you'll see there that the screen, hopefully it captured it. The screen went grey and black. So when you get the file, it's going to take some time to process that. So when you see it, I think for some reason Blender opens up the file in this state, and then when you switch it over into Eevee, basically what it means is that it's just going to be all nuts, and it's going to take a while to load the textures in. I think that's it. If you have any other questions, please. I'm not really great with the whole YouTube comments, so if you leave and don't Facebook me. Now everybody's going to Facebook me, but Twitter and Discord. So if you want to chat about it and pick my brain about it, it's really good. This is a few more things I just thought of. Yeah, so Twitter and Discord. Probably Discord will be better because then there are a few committed members who are in the same boat as me, and they just want to help out. Okay, so we want to go into the shader editor and show you the shader tree. So yeah, when you guys play with it, you'll see the shader tree. So everybody's seen this setup so far. The only thing that I've added really, just click on our stem, there we go. The only thing that I've really added in here is this whole kind of, and I'll just name it for everybody really quickly now. Let's rename it and call it color. Yeah, so basically this is just a procedural mix in the color. So just go right ahead, play with it. It's yours forever. Yeah, this is a paper texture that's also built in. This is a real paper texture. This is used for the strokes, but if we go over to the world texture we can see like I've just built out a really dodgy rough paper world texture. So that's why when I flip around into 3D space, it feels like we're in 3D, but we're looking at a piece of paper. So that's what's happening there. It's just kind of soft, right? If you're a 2D artist and that's what you're used to looking at, then why not do this, hey? The petals. If we take a look at these guys. The petals is pretty much exactly the same as the stem. I'll give this a little bit of a clean clean color. A little bit of I don't know, what do you call it? A little bit of a cleanup. It's already a pretty clean file. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I'm pretty sure that's pretty much it. If you do have any questions, you can see here the render is just set to like PNG. I have it on. You could render out this or render it out without paper texture. There's no compositing has gone on with this at all. So by the time you get it into compositing, this would be really fun, like to play with. You could do some really, put a whole nother treatment on top of it as well. I wouldn't do that in Blender's compositor though. It might be a bit painful. But hey, prove me wrong. Well, you're not going to change my mind on that. So I'm just trying to think anything else. I think that's pretty much it. The camera's locked off. And I will put I'll put the flower in the Discord. I'll make a Gumroad and I'll put on the Gumroad and I'll see what happens. I'm scared that if I put too many files on the Discord, it might get overloaded. I'm not sure how big the file size is for Discord and what files you can have up on there. So yeah, I might put it up on Gumroad. I'll tweet about it. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, Discord and Twitter, if you want to ask any questions about it, you don't have to pay for it. And look, if you find problems, submit a bug report, or if you feel like things could be done differently or better, reach out to the developers and talk to them about it, because they love this stuff. This is what they get paid for. So basically, if you play close to the line, we're testing the software that the Blender Foundation is using. So we're free testers, and their paid developers get to use it and work on it. So it's a win-win situation. Win-win situation. Okay, and yeah, it's kind of cool, right? All right. That's it, guys. So let me be more official. There we go. Yeah, so that's it. If you want to do the ask questions, Twitter and Discord, probably better to put it in the Discord chat, because then that way people can pile in on top of it and ask questions, and it will be much easier to follow than running searches in Twitter and trying to look back through history and threads and things like that. So yeah, that's it, and I hope everybody has fun with it. I'll release a few more videos as well. Okay, no worries. Thanks, guys.